guys, welcome back. I'm just going to do a quick video today. There's a couple spots on this one wheel skirt that needs to be welded in. We got a pinhole area right there, and we got a little bit going on right here. It is kind of pitted, but it's not through anywhere else. They seem to feel pretty good. They're not really all dented up or anything, which is nice. So basically, what I want to do is cut out this area and weld in two new pieces of metal here, grind it down, and then I want to epoxy primer both of these. That one doesn't need any welding, just these two spots on this one. I want to put them in epoxy primer front and back, hang them up and spray them, and then let them dry overnight, and then tomorrow do the body work that needs to be done, and then put them in 2K primer so that Tuesday I can paint them. It shouldn't be too much body work to really do, which is nice. Trying to think if there's anything else really. Not really. This is just kind of a necessary step that you got to do before you do the body work. Yes, I have body work that can go directly to bare metal, but it is always better to put the epoxy primer down first to seal up the bare metal. But you know, not always do you have to do that. Now, when I do body work tomorrow, I probably will have bare metal showing in spots, and we'll have to touch that up with a little bit of epoxy primer before I put the 2K primer, because the 2K primer that I use is a not direct to metal primer, so you have to put down the epoxy first as a sealer to seal the metal, bare metal, from the 2K primer, and then you can put the 2K primer on top. So that's my goal. Is I'm going to grab my cutoff wheel, we're going to cut a square out there and cut a rectangle out here, piece it in with some new piece, and then grind it down. And then at that point we will move some stuff around and we can get it hung up and spray a good nice thick coat of epoxy primer and everything. You can see right there where I have it circled. We got that one and that spot. I'll show them to you when I cut them out. Give me a second here. All right, so I got the two pieces cut, and as you can tell, ouch, I cut way past where I need to, just to make sure that I get some better metal. And then on this is the square piece, and I put a mark on which direction it goes. So now when I trace this onto my new metal, I gotta go big, because you gotta keep in mind, we took almost an 1/8 inch off all the way around because of the cutoff wheel. So when I put this on here, I gotta space it, or I gotta put my marker on here. And if you look, you see how when I use my marker, how it's bigger? So by cutting just to the outside of that line, it should be close to fitting good. I probably honestly could have just straightened this out in the vise. I probably could have just used some short strand fiberglass filler and filled that in, but you know what? The 20 minutes it's going to take me to do this, it's just a little bit better in my opinion. So it's a little too wide, but we're going to tack it in and then cut it. Okay, so we're too long this way for starters. Hot. Okay, we have all four corners tacked. We'll let that cool. While that's cooling, we'll make the next piece. Oh, real quick before I forget. So I need to put this truck bed back on here, okay? And believe it or not, we took it off with a tractor, okay? So we used a tractor and a bucket and we lifted the bed off the frame. Well, obviously you don't want to do that putting it back on because I don't want to run the risk of running it into the painted back wall or anything like that. So I ordered a 1,800 pound wench that's going to mount to the ceiling up here, okay? Now my roof trusses are going this way, 16 on center. So I'm going to go in the attic and I'm going to put a 4x6 up there, a 10-foot piece of 4x6 that's going to span over all the lower truss mounts, okay? And then I'm going to take 2x6s that are going to go from the 4x6 and run up to the upper trusses. And I'm going to tie all this section together right here. And then I'm putting a 1.5 inch square tubing, 1/4 inch wall, 10-foot long piece up here, okay? And this little wench, it'll slide up and down the pipe. So then I can lift the bed up, roll the truck back or whatever I want to do and have a lot more control over it than with a tractor or a backhoe or anything like that trying to put this back on. So I'm going to be doing that later on this week. The wench is supposed to be here tomorrow, and then I have to go pick up steel, the 1/4 inch wall, 1.5 inch pipe, 10-foot long. So I got to pick that up, and I got to pick up U-bolts and stuff like that because I'm going to put a U-bolt on through the bottom, around the bottom of the 1.5 inch square tubing. It's going to go through the ceiling, up through that 4x6, and then I'm going to use some of these scrap metal plates that I have as my washer up on the top. So it should be plenty secure. This bed probably only weighs 400 pounds, you know, at the most. Will I ever lift something that's 1,000 pounds? No, I wouldn't, because I don't know that it would be strong enough. I'm going to beef it up a lot, but I don't want to risk that. So lifting up beds, and maybe like if the cab was empty and the doors were off of it and there was no interior, probably that I could see. And it's not like I'm going to be lifting it for a long term. It's just enough to hold it in the air, to get the truck underneath it, and then just set it down. So you guys will see me do that here shortly. Trying to make my life as easy as possible by doing all this stuff, by having that winch to pull cars in and out, to lift stuff like that, rather than always counting on people to come down and give me a hand. It's nice to be able to do some of this stuff and not worry about it, and, you know, try to work around other people's schedules. So, all right, let's get this other piece cut here. Now this one's a little bit different because it's rolled. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark it like this. I'm going to roll it. And we're going to get a close measurement here. That should be pretty close. Glasses. So I need to kind of mark on here and do a little bend. And it goes on an angle because this is fatter here and it tapers smaller as we go down. So we could probably just bend this on the vise here. This is 18 gauge sheet metal. Probably going to need a hammer or a pair of pliers. I might be able to get it with my hand. Yeah. It's actually pretty damn close. Might be a little bit of a tighter radius, but we can grind that out a little bit. And then also we're gonna have to do a little filler anyways, body filler, so shouldn't be too bad actually. Now when you're tacking thin metal, if you give yourself more of a lead on your wire, you know, by having it pulled away a little farther, it works better. I'm gonna have to grab a hammer. Okay, now it's just a matter of welding it, letting it cool, welding it, letting it cool. I'm going to grab my blow gun so we can cool it a little quicker. All right, let me grind it and we'll see what it looks like. Good. Feels pretty good. Doesn't look the greatest, but it feels good. And the back sides. So now I can get these set up and put some epoxy primer on them. You can see that's not rust. That's actually red oxide primer. It looks like rust, but it's definitely not. So all right, I'm going to move some stuff around and we're going to put some epoxy primer on these. Okay, we're going to mix up some primer. This is actually white because I have a whole gallon of it. I haven't really used it, so it's a good project to use it on. I actually have to look this up because I forget the mixture on this. I think it might be 1:1. Let me double check. Yes, I was correct. It's a 1:1 mix. 1 part primer catalyst to 1 part epoxy. We're going to use a 1/6 tip because this stuff is pretty thick. Then we're going to let this dry overnight. And then tomorrow we can do body work. We do not have to scuff it before body work because we have 72 hours before we have to scuff it before body work. So tomorrow, as long as we do the body work right on it, we'll be fine, good to go. So all right, let me get this mixed up. Actually, it's thinning out pretty good. We should be okay. I'm going to use a 1/4 tip. All right, let me get it mixed up and we'll go out there and spray it on. Okay, that's it. There, it's in epoxy. Gonna let it dry. Tomorrow we'll body work it, put it in 2K primer, and then should be able to paint them on Tuesday. They look a little ripply, not horrible. I might skim coat them real quick just to make them look real nice. And then I think I'm going to paint them black just to make them, you know, look a little nicer to sell them. Once the chrome or stainless is on there and everything, it'll look really good. So, all right, guys, that's part one of fixing these cruiser skirts for a 59 Impala. Part two to be tomorrow. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. And also, don't forget, please hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.